Hello everyone, welcome to Career Theory. We are back with another episode. I am your host Devkumar Sarshintala. I have my co-host Bharat Ramesh. In our last episode with Vikram, we learned a lot about the importance of personal development in career and business. Today we are bringing another impactful guest, Loren. She will be joining us shortly and we are going to spend a lot of quality time talking about how we can elevate career with the help of personal development.
Hello, Sai. Thank you again. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And yeah, what an episode with Vikram last week. If you haven't checked it out, please do. There was so much value there. And also, we had a lot of fun during the whole conversation. And yes, we are super excited to bring another impactful guest, Loren, to you all. Let's get into the show right away.
Hello, Loren. We are super excited to have you on the Career Theory. Thank you so much for taking time to join us. To briefly introduce, Loren is an entrepreneur. Before she started her entrepreneurial journey, she worked as a vice president at J. Walter Thompson in New York, serving demanding clients, identifying talent unicorns, and drive excellence in the industry. She is now the CEO and founder of Portfolio Rocket, which is a culmination of more than 25 years of corporate design marketing positions across global agencies, corporate teams, creative staffing, and managing consulting. She works with C-suite executives, presidents, and CEOs of the companies to help fulfill their dreams. Her mission is to replace the dreaded job search with a fun, easy, and scalable process, enabling job seekers to tap into their love, purpose, and transformative contribution. So their work becomes energizing, meaningful, and rewarding. Extreme value is the middle name she lives by and she loves by. With that, let's welcome Loren to Career Theory. Hello, Loren. How are you doing?
I could not be happier to be with two of my favorite hosts and co-hosts. Thank you for having me.
Same here, same here. Yes.
Before we start our podcast, could you navigate us through your journey for our audience?
Absolutely. So I have good news and bad news about my journey. The good news is I knew from a very early age that I was what I call a design junkie. Everything in my life is oriented around design. Even if you go to my medicine cabinet and open it up, it's art directed. So you can expect that everything in my life is a palette. The food that I prepare, the environment that I live in, every touch point is an opportunity to utilize design. That's the good news. Here's the bad news. How do you make a career out of design? Yes, of course, you can be a designer, you can be an art director, you could do a lot of things that are strictly in the design. But for me, design had to be partnered with business. I knew that those two things had to come together in some way, because if I was just focused on the design and the art, that piece of me that loves the strategic thinking and loves the business problem, loves the whole idea of driving revenue, that could be at a loss. So I had to figure it out. And I made many twists and turns, mistakes, somersaults, back flips, crawling, falling flat, in and out of my past 30 years now in the working world. So it's been quite the adventure. And to be honest with you, as challenging as it's been, I've loved every single minute of it.
Awesome.
That's really impactful, I would say. Something like someone who likes the design and then taking it to the work to have a creative way. Wow, that's powerful, I would say. But let me ask you this. You did go through many of the jobs as part of your career, ranging from the titles like the recruiter, account manager, vice president to founder. At what point did you choose to direct your energies towards your personal development?
Personal development happened for me pretty early on. And I think that the reason for that was because at an early stage in life, I realized that if I don't know myself, I am not going to be able to be of service to anybody else. And the idea of having some level of self-awareness cost me. I had many periods of life where I was truly just stuck in selfishness. I was not good to anybody else, because self-awareness doesn't mean all you're doing is thinking about yourself.
Yes.
In actuality, self-awareness is thinking about yourself less.
Mm,
And the idea that I am here as a vehicle, a catalyst, a tool that I get to channel in order to serve a larger audience. And so it was through a lot of consequences that I had to learn that being self-aware is also how I impact other people, not just what is on my agenda.
awesome. Awesome. Yeah, definitely. We've all been part of personal development for several years now. And I have a question on the same line. What do you like most about the personal development? And why should one actually focus on personal development?
I think that personal development is maybe even a euphemism for personal growth. We talk about personal development, personal growth. As somebody who is a curious, avid learner, huge reader, listener, how could I possibly stay stuck in myself? If I am not evolving, then I have nothing to continue to give away. And growth is not only important for me, but I believe in our careers, nobody aspires to stay in the same place all their life. It's
Yes,
not somebody who is achievement oriented.
correct.
And so that doesn't just happen with a title change or a job switch. It has to happen from the inside out. And I am a big believer that it's always an inside job.
Awesome. And what would be some of your favorite personal development items that you really and you apply towards your career development in specific? Yeah.
Excellent question. My primary tools, and in this order, are prayer and meditation
Awesome.
and stillness.
Yes.
Taking time out without any noise. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm actively meditating, but I enjoy the quiet and standing still and being still just as much as I enjoy being social.
Yeah.
And I believe that those two things need to work in partnership, because a lot of times we all need to refuel ourselves so that we're not just adding more, so that we can recharge and be restored to, in my case, a level of sanity or some level of composure and peace. And that comes
Yep.
from stillness.
Absolutely. And I think it also adds a lot of time for your imagination to flow, and totally agree with it. Yeah.
Just for the clarity, are we referring reflection as a piece of personal development, or are you referring to multiple facets of the personal development towards your career development?
The question about reflection, right? There's always some other benchmark.
Mhm.
I made a mistake. How can I improve upon that? I just came from a mastermind session. What did I take away? It leaves clues with respect to how to take that piece of information and enhance it and be able to apply it. Because as we all talk about, the learning in and of itself only has a value so deep. If it's not integrated and it doesn't become a living, breathing part of you, then it's flat. So I do use reflection for that opportunity as well.
And you mentioned the mastermind before this. How many mastermind teams are you part of, or how many coaches you have, or how many times you coach is something. And I just wanted to add a follow-up there, just for audience to see an amazing personality is also investing a lot of time in being coached versus, coaching. Yeah.
Exactly. I do a lot of investing within my own ability to expand my mind.
Yes.
I'm in 3 different mastermind programs currently. One is really deep within mindset. The second one is deeper within communication and making sure that I am constantly refining, perfecting my message because everyone's capacity is very short. When I
Yep.
speak, I want it to be succinct. And I've had to do a lot of weeding out of my filler words and ensuring that the points that I'm making are sticking. And then I pass that on to my clients who are interviewing. So I use that information twice, once for myself and then again for them. And my
Awesome.
third mastermind is really around content and improving my writing, which is equally as important as verbal communication.
Wow.
It takes on a different form.
Yeah, awesome.
I know that you are the CEO and founder of your company by the name Portfolio Rocket. What does your company offers to the client?
So what it offers is a solution to the age-old problem, which is here I am, an executive, a C-suiter, and maybe I've never looked for a job before because I've either been sheltering in a job for a long time or just been enjoying my career. Maybe it's time for me to move on, but I just don't know how to do this. And the old methods that we've all been taught, let me just update my resume, let me go and look for jobs online. It simply doesn't work anymore if you want to be effective and efficient about it. And so I created a methodology, and important to the overall methodology is the empowerment of how you can approach your next career move so that you are able to successfully do it this time, but then repeat the same process for the next opportunity and the next. Many of my clients have called it the MBA for your career. And I think that in some ways is a really good summary of what they learned. They know their craft and their job, but they have yet to understand that this is a skill set unto itself.
And if you wanted to give an example of a client recently you worked with, can you give an example of how it was for them to transform their current position from their current position to an extraordinary position, just to hear from you? Yeah.
Absolutely. So we'll call him George. George came in and he was very successful. He was working at Xbox, which is a very well-known gaming company. And he was also pretty frustrated too. He was a contractor and they didn't want to make him a full-time employee, which was very important to him. He knew he was talented. He just did not understand how the process of being found in the marketplace would work, number one, so that he wasn't just applying aimlessly through the process and getting a lot of rejections. But also, he wasn't entirely sure about how to certainly tell his story meaning, what's he going to say on the interviews? What's he going to say when he's networking?
Yes.
How are people going to move him and introduce him and refer him? How is that going to happen? So he came in with a lot of hesitation. And at first, he was like, I don't get that. I don't know about this. And he initially said, I need to think about this. The following morning, he called me back. He says, I'm all in. I said, great. About 2 months later, he landed a position at Netflix. So he was able to take this opportunity. It happened a lot faster for him than he realized. He did not understand that sometimes it does move quickly. But what was interesting about this opportunity, big win. He increased his salary 116%. That's awesome.
Whoa.
But what was really exciting for him is he had 3 offers on the table.
Wow.
And so, as he would, say, I had a lot of problems. And of course, that needed to be reframed to, you got a lot of good problems. Now the question of how do you want to navigate through this? Let's go back to your criteria of what's important to you. Just because this company is giving you more money or offering you more money, let's go back and check to make sure that this is really in keen alignment with what it is that you set out to do, which is work with people that you're inspired by.
Powerful. Yes.
Powerful.
Sometimes I totally see that. Sometimes a lot of employers come to me saying that this is the position of CTO, blah, blah, blah. And the values are not there. And I would not even prefer going there. Instead, I would prefer somewhere where my core principles match, my values match, and everyone is willing to help each other to successfully get to their wherever they want to. So yeah.
If the values don't match, the likelihood of happiness and fulfillment are pretty slim.
Yep. Yep.
Absolutely. And also, it is very important to work in a place not only for the sake of the money, it is also important to look for the fulfillment in the job, which is lately diminishing, I would say. But I came across this very interesting concept on your website, on your portfoliorocket.com. You have a presentation, why should job seekers create content? When I looked at it, I was like, really? Like, why should someone who is looking for a job should be creating content? How does that help? Can you explain a little bit to our audience how that process of thinking can really help or elevate their career?
Exactly. I'm so glad you asked this because I truly believe that this is such an underutilized opportunity. Content creation as it relates to LinkedIn, but use LinkedIn as a placeholder for other places. It could be on Medium, you could have your own blog, you could be participating in content in many cases. The reason why I use LinkedIn as a primary content foundation is because, let's face it, there's 800 million people on LinkedIn, many of which are hiring managers, many of which are colleagues or people at your level that you can liaise with. And finally, it is known to be a professional networking site. So you want to make sure that if you are writing content, you have an audience who is ripe for your message, number one.
Yep.
The second reason why it is so valuable for job seekers to be writing content is for reach. Like we just said, you can have a profile that's sitting on LinkedIn and essentially it's parked there. It's parked like it's sitting in your garage.
Yep.
If you want to activate it and you want engagement so that other constituents and thought leaders and people that are interested in what you're doing can find out, well, they can't find out everything on your profile. They want to know what value you bring to the industry. What is your thought leadership? What do you have to say about X, Y, or Z? What is your point of view? So now you have the reach to get your thought leadership message out there. And finally, once you are in a consideration as part of a candidate pool, it's very natural for hiring managers to want to see, okay, who are the men and who are the boys here? Who are people who are really taking a stand for this issue? Look at what they're doing. Look at what they're saying. Look at the fact that they have been building a name for themselves, a strong personal brand, but also that other like-minded people are participating in. That really is a tremendous way to create a level of what we'll call stickiness. So you're on the profile and now you get to go a little bit deeper and learn more and more about this person.
Absolutely. But do you suggest doing this content creation for someone who is a job seeker or someone who is already in a job, or do you prefer one over the other?
I would say content as a tool for anybody in the working world, whether you're looking or whether you're passively looking or whether you're thrilled in your current role, is important. And one other point I want to make about content is content creation isn't just about your posts. It's about your contribution to other people's posts.
Powerful.
You can be not only well seen, but considered as a valuable voice when you are participating in what they have to say. So if there's somebody in your industry, a thought leader who you think is amazing, and you are consistent about delivering that kind of value, that only helps your case.
Yes.
To understand your point, it is not just someone who is looking for a job that then they can go back and start creating content, but it is should be a iterative process where they are going to act like the contributing members of the society, and also they'll be able to learn from each other while helping everybody else.
Completely. At
Absolutely.
the end of the day,
Uh-huh.
people hire people.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's exactly where I was going next. Yeah.
People
I want-
hire people. So how do they get to know you? It's so interesting to me because a lot of the folks that I work with say, I am frustrated. I feel like I'm being treated like a number in the job process. I am going through these automated systems. I just feel like nobody cares about me.
Yep.
Why don't they see? They can't see you unless you're visible.
Correct.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
must be able to have some way for them to find out who you are. Otherwise, you are part of the problem and not part of the solution.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Be visible for everybody else to see you. Don't hide, don't park your
Yeah.
resume somewhere thinking that somebody will find out. Thank you. Thank you
And-
so much. Now, the follow-up question is more about, I understand that you helped someone to land in a job or be visible at Netflix from Xbox in this case. Do you do this with the help of some kind predefined methods or approaches, or do you help them via career coaching?
So I created a methodology. My methodology is Portfolio Rocket. So I created this system based off of my over 10 years of recruiting experience, building teams, hearing directly from hiring managers. The reason why I can't hire this candidate is because of this. And I want to move this candidate forward because of that. And really understanding the characteristics, the behaviors, the differentiators that make seemingly the same resume move or not.
Absolutely.
And that methodology is a 4-phase process that I bring them through as they are my clients, so that they are learning also about themselves and understanding the value of the problems that they know how to solve, and then how to communicate that so that everyone who is in their search can see and identify it, while also building a powerful network, not just for the purposes of this job search, a network where their future will live for other jobs and opportunities to come.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Why would anyone consider having a coach? If it is for a job, why would anyone need some kind of career coaching?
Lots of reasons. Many people are not only confused and frustrated that what they've been doing before doesn't work anymore. Other folks are, challenged by communication skills or have difficulty building a network. Once they have the network, then the question is, now what do I do with it? I can have all the followers I want, but it's not about the collection of connections. It's about the relationship within those connections. So how do you move those relationships from an online platform to an offline platform? How do you consistently do that at scale? And then finally, understandably so, how do you negotiate so that you are not only earning and getting the salary that you're looking for, but to be able to have all the other pieces that we've talked about, the complexities of your values, maybe an issue with respect to your location, how much you travel, the way that you work, whether you're having a 4-day work week, or there's lots and lots of variables within the job search, especially today.
Awesome. Awesome. I know I just wanted to reiterate for our audience that like content creation, LinkedIn, being in the right network, and also having that negotiation skill are really important. Do you think there is anything else apart from that can help our audience focus on when it comes to building their career? And I would want to expand on networking after this, once you answer this. Yeah.
I'm sure this is going to come as a big surprise to you. Mindset.
Yes.
Mindset is a big anchor within your job search. Many people are coming to a job search after some unfortunate situations. They could be let go. They could have been eliminated because the position was gone. Maybe they had a performance issue, they were let go. They could be feeling sour. Some of them, many people that I've talked to have said, I was demoted. I was in this position and then they wanted me to drop down and have another person take my role. And so I left. Some people just had so much toxicity in their role that they left and they had no job. And they were okay with that, but then that doesn't mean that they are coming to the table in a place where they are operating at their highest level of confidence, or be able to understand that, yes, it will take some really important grit and resiliency to do well in the process.
Awesome. And I also keep telling my clients sometimes to have that cup empty when you come to a coach, and then fill all the cup, and then you go back and apply that. And yeah, I just wanted to expand on the networking part. Like, what kind of network, what kind of proximity our audience should focus on, or in general, like everyone should focus on to become more successful in what they're going to achieve.
Excellent. I'm gonna share this idea with you because it seems very counterintuitive, but there is some science behind it. So for anybody who's, oh, that sounds crazy, I'll be able to give some background. So back in the 1970s, a very famous Stanford professor came up with a theory that goes like this. He says that your weak links, people you barely know or may know through friends of friends of friends, are your strongest ties. The people who are not necessarily your besties, people that you know. Now, those people are good. Like, I'm not saying don't build your network with them.
Correct.
But what I am saying is you would be surprised. In fact, the data points to 50% of those who actively were networking ended up landing jobs from people they saw very infrequently, if ever. So there's a whole pool of people that most are not necessarily putting in their consideration to be building relationships with and networking. So the idea here is you have your core people, the people in your immediate circle, that's important. But if you keep going back to those same people over and over again, you will be drinking dirty bathwater. It'll just be stagnant. So you must bring other pieces of the pond in, other streams, to be able to fill that, because those people each represent 150 social media contacts. Every person, a minimum of 150 social media contacts. So you want to be able to get outside of your group, because those people are probably overlapping. If they all know each other, they're probably duplicating. So now you want to be able to have fresh fish in your pond and new perspectives and other opportunities.
Absolutely. And sometimes you just outgrow your current proximity and enter the new proximity so that you can become more successful time to time, focus on. And yes, there is a thin line between the maintenance friends versus quality friends. A lot of times we just don't realize that, but really appreciate you, pointing that. So a follow-up question there. How often do you try meeting that kind of intentional proximity or the network you create? And what are some channels you would suggest to reach that kind of proximity?
Excellent question. So since I've been working in my business, since I launched my business in March of 2020, every week I have a goal. And that goal is an hour a day for 2 coffees, 10 coffees a week. And that's 5 hours a week that is spent dedicated to meeting new people, meeting them through LinkedIn, meeting them through other organizations, meeting them through other people who've connected me with people. And so I have an hour a day that I schedule to do that. Now, for some people, that sounds like a lot, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, you're going to network an hour a day? How easy is it to blow off an hour a day? Whether it's on
Yes.
social media, whether it's on Netflix, whether it's just doing whatever it is that is not productive. For me and for my clients, this has been a huge game changer. And it's energizing if, number one, your mindset isn't going, oh, I have to network. Go into it with a curious mind and find, I have an opportunity to meet this person. I'm dying to know, like, how did they do this? Or why are they doing this? Or tell me about that. So I always suggest that anybody who comes to a networking call does a little of what another colleague of mine always refers to as show me. Come there with some information that shows that you have invested in that person so that they have an understanding. You are making them, helping them feel seen and heard. Congratulations on this recognition, or I just saw this post that you did. I really tickled me, something. And given the amount of information that is out there on social media, you don't have to dig that far. It's usually pretty easy. You can also go through podcasts, do a search on podcasts for that person's name, and you're going to get a whole list of all the places that they've been. Go listen for 15, 20 minutes and pick up some tips.
Awesome.
So there's lots and lots of ways to really explore who that person is before you have that live conversation.
Yep. And yeah, with that, I just wanted to add this for our audience. When you were talking, it was reminding me that you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with. And it's really powerful. I have experienced that myself, and I'm sure all of you have done so. I just wanted to add that there for our audience to also understand the importance of intentional proximity at times.
Loren, let me ask you a counter question about when we use the term called networking, because networking has such a bad connotation when we use the word called networking. How would, as a job seeker or a contributing member of the society, how should someone approach networking as? Is there like a 1, 2, 3 that they can follow as part of networking guideline?
So if you're hung up, and lots of people are, trust me, on the word networking, people think it's, oh, I don't want to talk about myself. Or other people think, ooh, I don't want to ask for any favors, or I don't want to use anybody. I would suggest that you reframe it under personal and professional. It's capital. It is value. It is equity. It is going into a bank account called life. These are people that you're interfacing with. These are places where you can add value and help them. It's got to be reciprocal, and the same in reverse. So my first suggestion when anybody comes to me and says, hey, I don't know how to build a network, or I haven't been networking, or you know what, my network is like tired of hearing from me, I will ask them specifically, number one, is there a particular company that you are inspired by, that you want to align yourself with?
Awesome.
Let's go on LinkedIn or find out who are the people that are contributing to the conversation that this organization is having. First, easy, right? Like they're talking. People at Peloton this week, they're talking. They let go 2,800 employees, but everybody still loves Peloton. And so what are they saying? What are the high points, the low points, the areas of controversy? So that's the first area. The second place is clearly, is there a cause that is moving you? I have a lot of clients that are in the world of sustainability. They really want to be able to impact the industry. So who are the thought leaders there? Who are the people that are shaking things up? Are they speaking at conferences? Are there events that you can go to? A lot of this is not only free, but accessible in many of the tabs that I would be happy to show any of your listeners how to access.
Awesome.
So those are two right off the bat. And then the final ones is now you have a company, you have an industry, and certainly a particular thought leader, right? If we all love Simon Sinek, maybe we're not going to talk to Simon tomorrow. Like, I get that. But chances are the people that are participating in his feed are like-minded.
Yeah.
I'll probably bump into you guys there.
I just brilliant.
So those birds of a feather are also amazing ways for you to build your network because you already have something in common.
Powerful.
Absolutely. Let me ask you, for the audience who probably are working at a different level. I understand that you work with some of the executives, C-suite executives, especially to help them. But this question is geared more towards the audience who are working at the lower end of the spectrum. They may or may not see the networking as a way. Let's say somebody who isn't working in technology, they might be so much attached to the technology and they start believing that if I learn a new technical skill, it will help me grow to the next level of, or help me go to the next job. How or what should they be focusing on, and how can they leverage on the networking? Do you think that will help them, or it's totally not best use of their time?
I'm a firm believer in keeping your skills sharp, upskilling, cross-skilling, reskilling. I think that those are all really important, but not at the expense of relationships.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Because I think that what is warning, and I've seen this happen across many different spectrums, is I'll go get my MBA. Great. The MBA in and of itself is awesome. And it may be a requirement in order for you to get to a CMO role. But again, the degree in and of itself isn't going to be the differentiator. Lots of people who are CMOs have MBA. One of the books that I'm currently breaking into is a book called Who Not How.
Wow.
And so I want to know who you know and who knows you.
Wow.
Awesome.
So if I am going to accept you into my organization, great that you have this degree, but now I also want to know, what impact are you having with it?
Absolutely. That you brought it up. Thank you so much. And you showed that the use of books is an important metrics that everyone can leverage on to grow their career. Not only that, but why should someone focus on reading any books when everything is like fingertips away with the help of technology? Do you think there is value in reading books for the audience?
Oh my goodness. Books not only allow for material to go a lot deeper, but what you can learn by reading. I also listen to a lot of audibles, which also really helps to reinforce different perspectives. I also use books and repurpose that learning over and over again. It can be great content. So it really is an opportunity in probably one of the least expensive forms to be able to multiply your impact and to expand your knowledge. So I cannot say enough about reading and then taking that, learning that from that book, and then finding 2, 3 key insights and immediately applying them so that they don't sit in the book. The value of the book shouldn't be left in the book. It should be passed on and executed in our life.
Is there a book that changed your life that you can think of at this point of time?
Oh my gosh. Yes. I talk about this a lot. I talk about this book a lot. There's actually 2 books. I am a huge fan of, I'm holding it up. Nobody can see it on your podcast, but I'll hold it up anyway. It's called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. And this is a book about your own personal magic. And especially for creative people who can get very frustrated. They make what they think is a masterpiece and then they hate it. And they're like, ugh, it stinks. And so really the courage of what it takes to be able to be that creative entrepreneur, that creative writer, that creative painter. But it really does, it's had an enormous impact on me. And I go through a lot of books, but I think it's just because I'm insatiable that way.
Thank you.
I'm just curious. I see a book in your shelf and it has a dog on its I just wanted to know what book it is. Yes. I know for the audience who are just listening, there is a book on the shelf which has a dog picture and I'm very curious. Oh.
So this gentleman is a famous photographer named William Wegman. He is famous for taking this very specific variety of dogs called the Weimaraner, and he dresses them up, and the pictures are hilarious and brilliant.
Oh, wow.
And he's a great inspiration to me. I actually own one downstairs. So it's just like the artists are my besties. So I always have to have them close by.
I think that book is a reflection of your creative side of Loren.
Yes.
Totally. Mm-hmm.
For our audience, in the context of personal development, elevating the career development, is there a book recommendation that you have for the audience?
As far as career development, I'm gonna go with something. There's a lot of books, The Compound Effect, which I absolutely love. Darren Hardy, fantastic. And I also am a big fan of John Doerr's Measure What Matters. Also, Extreme Ownership, if you haven't read that, by Jocko Willink. This is also a fantastic book. Just really terrific. But the one that I want to say, again, was most approachable for me, has a little bit of an irreverent title called You Are a Badass.
Yes.
And this book kicked my butt and helped me get into a really important mindset shift. So I just wanted to offer that one up as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Loren. I know we are about to reach the time. We have been doing something called rapid fire, and we will ask, I know all the questions were like that, but we will ask 3 questions and you can say a 1 word or 1 sentence, however you feel, and maybe just make it a little more fun for our audience to stick to us.
Okay, bring it on.
Yeah. So first question is, what is that one thing no one knows about you?
The one thing that not a lot of people know about me is I'm a total nerd.
Awesome. Awesome.
The next question is more about, we talked a lot about mindset. We talked a lot about the content creation, and thank you so much for all of that. And we also touched upon the word called success.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what is your definition of success?
I am successful today. And the reason why I know I am successful is because I am rich in love and relationships. And so success to me is really about time and who you spend it with. Mm-hmm. And so I really am in love with the work that I do. I'm in love with the people that I'm surrounded by. I love my clients. I really am just so grateful that success to me does not look like a bank account. It really doesn't look like material things, although I like unpretentious luxury. I'm like good with that. But I think really what it's about mostly is sharing my life with people and having them share theirs with me.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Yeah.
One last question before we wrap up is, when do you think you are done with everything you are doing?
I'm going to die empty. I'm never going to be done. I'm going to be like to the last breath, That's the way I roll.
Love it.
You are not thinking of like a retirement, or like you're not thinking like, I'm going to retire after this age and I'm going to relax in a big chair with
I feel relaxed, but I also feel energized. I have no interest in doing anything less than all in. So that's the way I roll.
Awesome. And I think that's the mindset we need to look forward to. and everyone should aspire to never retire and really focus on things they really love passionately and give everything with the purpose driven idea of how to live their life. And yeah, I know we are done with those kind of questions, but if our audience need to find you, what is the best platform they can
Sure.
reach out to you? And I know we'll put your website and the other links
Fantastic.
to, yeah.
Find me on LinkedIn. Please find me on LinkedIn because I know that I'll be there. That's my social media address. And
Perfect.
that's probably the easiest. You can find me on Instagram. I am there. I'm not always home. So please find me on LinkedIn.
Awesome.
Thank you, Loren. Thank you so much for spending time with us and giving the most insightful tips and tricks to our audience. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
And I am extremely grateful. We are extremely grateful. I'm sure the audience will be, and really appreciate the love and the time with us on Career Theory. Thank you so much.
Thank you both. Thank you, Sai. Thank you, Bharat. It was a pleasure. Thank you.